part one.
I will verify. The kids updated me on the book and gave me some background.
These are part one of the bloopers. Please continue watching.
All right, who's going first?
Okay.
Okay. Do you often find kids struggling with social interactions if their parents have come back from the war?
Okay. Well, I haven't really come across many parents in Hayworth that have been in the war and have come back. And personally, I have not worked with that here in Hayworth, but I would imagine that it just depends on how that parent comes back from the war. You know, if they come back and they are, you know, okay with their mental health and things like that, I imagine that they can be a good parent and still perform that role of their what parents do. But a lot of times people do come back from war, and I know that you guys read the book about the man with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and with that, you know, comes a lot of anxiety, a lot of hallucinations, flashbacks, and sometimes substance abuse problems. So my guess is those parents most likely cannot function and do their role as a parent. So in turn, that is going to affect their children. And if their children are constantly living in that environment, I would imagine that they're probably going to withdraw and, you know, within themselves and probably not be as social. So I believe that that probably would happen.
Do people like come regularly around time, like asking for help or questions about fitting in? Like, how do you help them?
I get that a lot. You know, you guys are now 8th graders, but I see that starting probably in 3rd grade. I don't know if you guys can think back to your 3rd grade year. Maybe not so much with boys at that age, but with girls in particular. Usually, I always say spring of 3rd grade year with girls keep me busy at school, because that's kind of when developmentally kids are starting to realize, you know, their strengths and their weaknesses, and kids are starting to pair up and become better, have closer friendships with people, and groups of kids are starting to form together, and sometimes kids are on the outs. So I kind of see an increase starting probably in 3rd grade. It's just kind of that time carrying through the rest of grade school, you know, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, where people really don't really know where they fit in. And then when you get to junior high, like you guys, you're kind of still struggling with, who am I? What kind of person am I? Where do I fit in? Who likes me? Who doesn't? Who's judging me? Who's not? So a lot of times, yes, I do see that problem. And I think that's never probably going to go away. I don't think that's something we can change. There's always going to be people that don't feel like they belong.
So like, leading to the topic you're just saying, so like I was gonna say, what range of age do you most have trouble working with? So around 3rd grade.
I would say that that's when it starts, but I would say it increases probably in 5th, 6th, 7th grade. By 8th grade, like you guys, I'm sure the problems still exist, but you're kind of getting, you know, you're kind of figuring out who you are and where you belong and what kind of things you're interested in. And by high school, those problems usually decrease a little bit more, but I would say probably that preteen age is probably the most difficult for fitting in type of issues.
So like, do you have any like kids who purposely act in trouble, like to like just spend time, like to, like just be able to like get out of work and just like hang out?
Kids that want to come see me?
Yeah, like just want to.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know if they act bad on purpose, but I have kids that show up at my door. Actually, right now, you know, I'm not going to say any names, but I have a boy in 5th grade that comes every day begging to eat lunch with me, and I think the reason why is because he's trying to avoid the lunchroom. You know, right now is different from when you guys were in there. They're in there for 45 minutes straight with 4th, 5th, and 6th grade all in there. Mm-hmm. So it's very loud, and it's all free seating. So sometimes when it's free seating in the lunchroom, that sets kids up for kind of, I don't belong anywhere. Who's going to want to sit by me? Where should I go? Where should I sit? So sometimes I just see kids kind of sitting on the corner of the table all by themselves, just waiting and hoping that someone sits with them. And I don't like that. But yes, I do have kids that want to try to escape social times and just kind of go hang out with a grown-up just because they feel very uncomfortable. I've had over the years kids that have, you know, tried to get out of class just to come hang out and that's just usually because, some kids, like the girl in your story, they're not getting a whole lot of love and attention at home. When they come to school, and they use the adults in the school to kind of get that love and attention. So school's a safe place for them, and there are adults, teachers, me, principals, things like that make them feel good. And who wouldn't want to go have some of that when you don't have that in your life? So yeah, that's happened.
Is it hard to communicate with people that are emotional and need advice?
That are emotional.
Well, is it hard to communicate with people that that are having trouble fitting in? It's hard to communicate with them about that.
Sometimes people have a hard time fitting in because they have they're lacking social skills, which makes them not fit in general. They have a hard time communicating. They have a hard time with eye contact. They have a hard time with kind of that back and forth communication skills that a lot of people have. So sometimes it is difficult communicating with them. But you just kind of have to, go with their style and try to help them, build relationship with them, and try, your kids are going to want to listen to grown-ups more when they trust them. So you kind of have to spend some time getting to know them and things like that before you can really start not critiquing them, but giving them, giving them advice that they want to hear. Yeah.
If kids are struggling with problems, have you noticed their grades going down or having a hard time in school?
Oh, for sure. Okay. Who wants to focus on work when you have a million other problems in your brain, right? So a lot of times, and I get this way too, when stress is in your system, it's kind of hard to not think about anything but that, okay? So kids that have problems at home or have problems with relationships or peers, substance abuse, mental health, all those kinds of things, that kind of becomes the focus of your daily life. It kind of just consumes you, and that's all you can think about. So when you're distracted like that and thinking of all those things, your focus on your schoolwork and it just declines. Your grades might start slipping. People start skipping school. A lot of times when you have so much emotional stress, your body physically gets worn down, so you yourself feel sick all the time. You might have more stomach aches, more headaches, things like that, and that can prevent you from coming to school, and then again leads to poor performance. Go ahead, hon.
I said, do some people act badly for attention or to fit in?
Yes.
People?
Yes, that happens a lot. Sometimes people don't fit in, and they know they don't, and they're uncomfortable by that, and they don't really know what to do about it, so they may be acting angry. You may know kids that act just kind of angry or standoffish with everyone. Maybe they, make rude remarks to people, things like that, and it's just they're having a hard time letting people in. They kind of have a wall up around them. So they're doing whatever they can to keep people away from them, because I think they're afraid if people know the real them, they won't accept them because they're having all these difficulties.
In the book we're reading, Haley often ends in detention. Do you see your relationship with kids in detention and how that relates to their home life?
Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes kids have great parents that encourage them and keep them on task and help them with their work and really try really hard, but it's just the student that has no motivation. So sometimes, no, there's not a link, but sometimes there is a link between, I have kids right now over at the grade school that they get detentions, usually because they have so much missing work and late assignments and things like that. And they'll often tell me, I'll say, who's helping you with your homework at home? Nobody. Why not? Well, we're too busy. Well, who's checking your assignment notebook? Nobody. Why not? Well, because they just don't. Or my mom works at night, or my dad works at night, or maybe the parents are drunk at night, or something like that, or they're too busy with other kids, or they may have a new baby in the house, or something like that. So a lot of times there is a link between lack of parents supporting the kids Because sometimes, you know, everyone's still learning about how to get organized in your life and how to set goals and make priorities, and that's hard. You need some adults to kind of guide you along and help you. And if you don't have that, and it's just left to you, and you don't have those skills, you're probably not going to do very well on, you know, making sure all your work gets turned in. So, and that could lead to a detention for sure.
What makes you want this job?
What makes me want this job? Well, I love my job very much. I always kind of wanted to be a counselor ever since I was in high school. I remember going and talking in high school to this counselor, social worker, and just asking her questions about how do you get this job, what's good about it, what kind of school do I need to have, things like that. So I've always been interested in helping other kids. I think just my personality always was empathetic, and I was kind of always that friend that other friends would come to for advice and things like that. So I really like that part of me. So any job, you know, for you, take your strengths, take the things that you're good at, and try to turn them into something you love. And that's kind of the route that I went. You know, working with all of you over the years, geez, you guys were kindergartners when I first met you, or pre-K maybe? Kindergartners or pre-K. So just watching you guys grow up and do all these amazing things. You know, I don't work in this building full time, but I still try to visit once a week, and I love just getting to know and building relationships and seeing you guys do great things.
Do you find similarities between social problems with kids who had their parents divorced and social problems with kids who have certain disabilities such as ADD?
Okay. Can you repeat that part? Do I find a link between?
Do you find similarities between social
similarities.
problems with kids who have their parents divorced and social problems with kids who have certain disabilities such as ADD or Asperger's or something like
Well,
that?
though ADD, Asperger's, things like that, there is a part of that diagnosis is some social deficits. Asperger's in general, that's one of the main characteristics is, you know, social deficits, meaning that they're kind of lacking those social skills to kind of navigate through the social world and have communication and build relationships. Attention deficit disorder, ADD, that also has a component. A lot of kids who have that also do have some problems socially with peers. So there is that link between those and kids who have that problem. Did I answer that? I want to kind of make sure I know the question. Ask me a follow-up question.
I'm not good at those.
You're not good at those, bud? Okay. Well, with kids in general, if a kid has a diagnosis of, you know, something like Asperger's or ADHD and things like that, like I said, a lot of times those are linked together. And again, if you're dealing with problems, sometimes it does prohibit you from being the best social kid you can be.
So have you ever dealt with anyone who has lost one or both of their parents?
Yes, yeah, I'm dealing with that right now. I have quite a few kids who have had parents that have deceased over the years, and I do work with them.
So are they like less social? Or
They feel like nobody understands them because, you know, losing a parent is not something that's extremely common.
oh shoot.
I'm answering Logan's question right now.
Um,
You have another one you want to show somebody before you go?
oh yeah. Do you think that social disabilities can manifest themselves when kids have to deal with parents with PTSD? Such as like when the parents are having problems, do you think the kids can also develop problems by having to work with their parents?
Okay, I'll cover that one next. We'll finish up the other one about parents who are deceased, okay? Yes, indeed. That's gonna be on the bloopers reel. Kids who have lost a parent oftentimes, like I said, feel like no one understands them, like no one could possibly know that's going on. And for some reason, I even have kids that don't want other people to know that about them. They kind of want to keep that private. Thank you, Logan. So yes, I do work with that.